the continent, the Tour de France, week 3, the week of rugged climbing in the picturesque Alps. That's where the experts say this race is often won or lost. And America's Greg LeMond continued pursuit of France's Bernard Hinault. The 72nd Tour de France rolls on. And John...
Bicycle race in the world has reached the Alps, and the Frenchman who has thrown the country into a frenzy. Bernard leads the Tour de France. The unbelievable crush to record it is out of control. The desperate escape it is useless. Frenchman Bernard Hinault have hold of a race that will not let him go. This is of a champion who rides not only to win a bicycle race, but to enter history. The quest of the man they call the Badger has filled the roads of France with the millions whose screams implore him to win the race a 5th time. 4 times Hinault has carried the yellow jersey into champion. Only 2 men have done more. Belgium's Eddy Merckx, the man they call the Cannibal. And the only Frenchman to ride, Jacques Anquetil. Hinault's passion not only by the lure of a trip into history, but the chance to beat back the hard luck and misfortune of 2 years ago. The photos recorded an expression never before seen on the face of this champion. It was when tendonitis forced him to withdraw from the race. Last year, Hinault's injury was repaired. The Badger was back, but those who call 5th win will finish in seconds. This Hinault has returned again to claim yellow and ride with his jersey down the Champs-Élysées, and so too have returned those loyal to his cause. But standing in his way is the Frenchman's American teammate, LeMond, who finished 3rd behind Hinault last year. Now is the Frenchman from place. The 2 leave behind him, the field felled by a bike race designed to force failure. It's 1903, the only thing that could stop the Tour de France, 2 world wars. This is a 23-day crusade on bicycles, whose speed, beauty, and danger have tugged along drama as intense as the French countryside is beautiful. Hello everyone, I'm John Tesh, and welcome to our week of coverage of the Tour de France bicycle race. Frenchman Bernard Hinault, American Greg LeMond, and the rest of the 160 remaining cyclists could not have found a more chance in which to do their battle on bicycles. France not only beautiful chateaus and vineyards, also dangerous cobblestone roads and alpine switchbacks. To survive the Tour de France, you must complete the entire 2,567-mile course and finish line along the Champs-Élysées in Paris. To win it, you must do that better and faster, very best cyclists in the world. Beating Bernard Hinault on day 1 was the impossible dream. His parents were there to share it. The course outline for the Tour de France is different every year, but the field of competition always remains the country that gives it its name. This year, the riders remain Hinault's home turf of Britain for the first 4 days. After Hinault's victory in the first day's time trial, it was the 30-year-old Breton carried the yellow jersey marked as the man with the best overall time. But this was seen as really only a first show of strength, and Hinault's new teammate, Greg LeMond, took the opportunity of the day to relax and settle into the early race pace. Well, the Panasonics decided it was time to gather an early show of team tactics. The team sent 7 riders off the front to control the pace in an effort to spring top rider Phil Anderson. Or perhaps another teammate, this one from Belgium, Eric van der Arden, wearing a special green jersey. As the Panasonics lifted the tempo, they were able to keep the race, and on day 2, Bernard Hinault lost his leader's jersey to Eric van der Arden. 2,407 miles to go. The Panasonics proved they could work on, and their teamwork will keep van der Arden in that yellow jersey for 2 days. But most everyone knew the Belgian didn't have the strength to take it all the way to Paris. And while Hinault was working on some strategy for the Lamond found some help after a flat tire. And then he used his domestiques, or hired hands, to form a windbreak and join the rest of the pack. The domestique suffered in the wind, while Lamond coasted to the front with little effort. A classic team maneuver. But some days, those hired as windbreaks and water carriers like Kim Anderson can win. And by day 5, Lavie Claire had the easy back, as Anne led the rest of the field, but only 19 seconds overall. 2,056 miles to go. And then on July 3rd, the cyclists were pointed north along the coast. They were headed to the textile town of Roubaix. The race was 135 miles long. Teammates Bernard Hinault and Lamond tried to stay together because ahead were some nasty patches of cobblestone. The two also had their eyes on another top rider, an Australian Phil Anderson. Onto the cobblestones, and the result was about what you'd expect. Some of the inexperienced and some just unlucky. They call it l'Enfer du Nord, an area aptly named the Hell of the North. Amazingly enough, at day's end, only 2 riders had abandoned, and most everyone finished together. The riders, each day, it's a different race. For those who follow it and report on it, well, each day you might say it's mayhem at the mic.
En waar ze vandaag een dubbelslag hebben gemaakt, zowel Luis Herrera als die Fabio Parra, 2 fantastische fietsers natuurlijk, in het hoge bergte. Maar de etappe heeft absoluut niet gegeven wat we van tevoren van gedacht hadden.
If the cyclists in the Tour can survive, then the bus had better do the same. Every team on the Tour is followed around by a pit crew of trained technicians who break down the hardware each day, clean it up, and meticulously put it back together for the next day's race. And since the arena for this event is the entire French countryside, there's a new finish line to be put up and taken down every day. While the riders head for their hotels and some rest, these guys just begin to work. Portable fences and grandstands, they all gotta go. And get out the hammers and smack away, because it's time to move on to the next town. Of course, first you gotta find it. But they always do. And when it's packed up, the road crew jumps in the trucks and drives off to turn another town into a landmark. Day 9, Strasbourg, France, the site of the longest time trial in 24 years in the Tour de France. 45 miles alone against the watch. A chance to fall hopelessly behind. A chance to snatch the yellow jersey. Bernard Hinault is not proficient in the time trial. He is master. Was made bolder and more masterfully than anyone could have imagined. The Badger beat his nearest competitor in the time trial by more than 2 minutes. And when he stood on the podium in the yellow jersey, it was as the overall leader more than 2.5 minutes ahead of the man in second place. That man, Greg LeMond. A crushing blow for the American, and the race only 9 days young of 23. Jersey on day 10, Bernard Hinault, a cyclist many thought was finished after his injury 2 years ago. Hinault captains the most powerful team in the Super Bowl of cycling. He hired this man, American Greg LeMond, away from a rival French team. Hinault has put together an offensive line of outcasts and old veterans thought to be over the hill. You might say these are the old football Redskins. Quite simply, it's a team designed for either Greg LeMond or Bernard Hinault to win the Tour de France. Hinault has seen to it, too, that the depth of his team also includes young stars like Olympic silver medalist Steve Bauer. To look at this team in the Tour de France, which is certainly a dream team, you might think you were watching George Allen's Redskins. This is the dream team of cycling.
Dream team, dream team, dream team, dream team.
You're looking at the stadium for the most grueling bicycle race in the world, the Super Bowl of cycling. Hello everyone, I'm John Tesh, and welcome to Le Tour Today, where as we bring you our coverage of this Super Bowl of cycling here in the heart of France, it's time to take a close-up look at some of the teams who are involved. Phil Liggett, who do you like?
Well, John, I'm not a betting man, and I'm not Greek either, but you know, my money's on the dream team, La Vie Claire. There are 18 teams in the Tour de France, all of them sponsored by big manufacturers, so let's take a look at some of them. There's Zor, that's a cigarette lighter company, but that right now has gone up in flames. And there's Fagor, a domestic appliance corporation, but they're really not switched on. And finally, there's Lotto, and they are a Belgian national lottery company, but their number right now just hasn't come up. So that's why my money's on La Vie Claire. They're sponsored by a health food chain, and they're full of vitality, so let's meet them. At water carrier, kind of like a good linebacker in football, Dominique Arnaud. At domestique, a man many have called a has-been, Christian Jourdain. The clown, once a member of the Untitled Riders Union, Alain Vigneron. The inside, Bernardino's lieutenant, Bernard Vallet. The rising star, sort of like a backup quarterback, the youngest member, Nicky Rutiman. At Super Domestique, a man who would be a team leader on many squads, Tim Anderson. Another misfit, a survivor of many crashes, the veteran, Mark Gomez. At best rookie, the fullback, that's Canadian newcomer Steve Bauer. At Eno's right hand is heir apparent Greg LeMond. Top, where else after 4 wins in the Tour? The quarterback, Bernard Hinault.
So you've met the La Vie Claire team. How did they get to become the dream team? Well, here's HEIDEN from the sidelines.
Just like in football, recruiting in professional cycling is very important. However, unlike pro football, there is no draft. In fact, every rider out here is a free agent, and a team can sign a rider at just about any time. For example, La Vie Claire signed Olympic silver medalist Steve Bauer straight away from the amateur ranks. And because the squad wanted a big-name rider to ride alongside Bernard Hinault, they signed American Greg LeMond. And thanks to the free agent system, LeMond signed a 4-year, $1.5 million contract, the highest in the history of professional cycling.
Dream team. Dream team.
So back on day 11 in the Tour de France, and this dream team working like an express train, protecting their stars in the foothills of the Alps. But you have to remember, this is a team with 2 stars. Question through all of this has been, who's going to work for whom? Who's the strongest? Bond. Well, for now, look no further than the yellow jersey for the answer to one of those questions. And who will be the king of the mountains? It may well be the smiling American. The yellow jersey, Bernard Hinault, preparing for the first serious mountain race in the Tour de France. Is this the face of a man who's nervous? Anyway, it's not time to get too relaxed, because this could well be a showdown in the Alps. Greg LeMond proves he may have a future as a professional bike racer. Phil Anderson checks out the lay of the land, which will be mostly uphill. And although he's way behind in the overall standings, the mountains are where Colombian Luis Herrera will begin to shine. This race is 115 miles, and while that's a little short by Tour standards, take a look at the map. It starts in the small farming town of Pontarlier, which reporters have described as being in the middle of nowhere. The climbing on the areas will make the riders wish they were back in that small town. When they leave Pontarlier, they cross into and they begin the 3 climbs of the long day. So as they leave this town the tour has never before visited, the race begins in an unusual manner. It's a rolling start. It begins when the red flag goes down, and then it's a descent downhill to Lake Geneva in Switzerland. The speed demons begin to try out their skills very early. On out of habit, but there's no stopping the tour at the Swiss border, and there are no passports checked. But it's time now to prepare for the climb straight at the side of the mountains. And for more on what it takes, we found one of the toughest mountains around for a demonstration by U.S. pro cycling champion HEIDEN.
An aspect of cycling that is often overlooked is that of hill climbing. And in the Tour de France, hill climbing is a very important technique. The riders will rock their bikes back and forth, which means they have to have a lot of upper body strength. And this provides them with the extra oomph their legs just don't have on the steepest of climbs. Bicycles have toe clips, and the shoes have cleats, so their feet are securely fastened to the bicycle. It's important to keep a constant rhythm, and it's those changes of speed that really zap your strength. The race up a mountain starts miles before the bottom. Being in front of the pack means you don't have to contend with the slower climbers, so the best riders fight to be the first up the start of a climb. When you're caught in the pack, you're at the mercy of the leaders, and if you don't make your move early, it's not just the racers you have to contend with, but also the narrow roads clogged with enthusiastic fans.
These bike racing fanatics camped out here late last night so they could secure a place to watch the Tour de France as it goes by. Thousands more before dawn today hiked the side of this mountain so they'd have a place to watch it. The reason? Well, here on day 12, it's the race up to the ski station at Avoriaz. Who are the mountain climbers in the Tour de France bicycle race? Today we find out.
Every rider fears the mounts he never knows until he gets there how well he will climb. The question is, could Bernard Hinault control the race? And with the Colombian Luis Herrera, he gave his answer on the very first day in the Alps by going on the attack. Hinault, the proud Breton, out to prove a point and leave the rest adrift. Le Monde is taken by surprise and asks his La Vie Claire teammate, what's going on? But Hinault has his own ideas today and out to prove he can win in the mountains as well as in the time trial. So now with Herrera, the brilliant climber for company, Hinault wants to show Le Monde and the rest he is still the #1. It was here last year where Hinault faltered and lost the Tour. Behind, Bill Aston is anxious to race and Le Monde is asked to join him as he hits the front. But ahead, Herrera and Hinault build their lead, and at the top of the first climb, the tandem leads by 1 minute and 4 seconds. Now, for the first time in this Tour de France, the American Greg LeMond has to make the decision he knew one day would come, whether to stay behind and protect his friend and leader, or take up the challenge for the lead himself. But you know, he's grown wings, and on the next climb he is an angel of the mountains. And the man who once lived in fear of the granite rocks now relishes the thought of conquering them. Even Luis Herrera, wearing a polka dot jersey as the Tour's leading climber and used to his homeland heights of 5,000 feet, is forced to follow. The Badger has his sight on the finish, and who can stop it? Lower down the slopes, the youthful Greg LeMond can no longer wait. He's made his decision to attack. LeMond makes it clear too. He can win the Tour de France and refuses to concede victory to even Hinault. But toward the top of the second climb, the Frenchman continues to set the pace, kept cool by water. The Tour de France continues unabated, and the pair now lead by 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And between Hinault and LeMond, that means a mile, all uphill. The 4 times winner of the Tour de France is overheating, but haunted by the memories of last year when Laurent Fignon won, the champion of the time trial is now the champion of the mountains. Attracted as if by a strange magnetic power, Le Monde chases his mentor up the mountain. The American, now clear of the field, is free to try and catch him. And by a strange coincidence, along for the ride is another Colombian hill climber. With all his legs working like pistons, Herrera hangs on grimly to Eno, wondering what demon has possessed the man in yellow. On the steepest slopes of the race so far, Eno has stunned his rivals by attacking as even he has never done before. It's not too easy for Le Monde, who normally specialises in the mountains. His face is twisted in pain. He's glad to limit his losses by following the wheel of the Colombian partner. There are two men in the race now, Le Monde and Eno. Eno's climbing partner, Herrera, is too far behind in overall time to challenge for the yellow jersey. But Le Monde can, and he recovers a minute on this final climb to Boreas. But over the finish line, Herrera has jumped out in front to win Colombia's first stage of the Tour. For Eno, he's won his own victory by knocking out everyone on the day they thought they could take him. And at the end of a perfect day, day 12 shows Eno extending his lead to 4 minutes over Greg LeMond.
Well, the tour's over for the others, yeah. Not over for Bernard. I think it's over for the others. It's never over, though. I mean, we've got 2 more weeks and a lot more rounds to go. So things can change like that. You have a bad day and it's finished.
Before the Tour de France reaches the finish line in Paris, riders will have seen millions of spectators along the roads who will have seen them. The fans hike for miles. Some travel for days just to watch the Tour go by. The whole thing becomes a family outing. It's kind of like going to an amusement park, except this amusement park comes to you. So rain or shine, run, don't walk when the Tour comes. Wait a minute. You don't get the Tour just yet. Because here comes the Caravan Publicitaire, which is French for publicity caravan. In a stroke of advertising genius, this thing was put together to precede the Tour and take advantage of this captive audience along the race course. You're supposed to read the advertising, blow it up, pick it up, wear it, and then buy the product. Stuff whips the folks into a frenzy and gets everyone ready for the race. Which, after about 3 hours of fun, goes by in 11 seconds. Of the Tour de France in the Alps. It's here where the crowds are the thickest and where the racing is most arduous. In one long day, these cyclists climb 10,000 feet up and down in the ski resorts. The climbing sucks the strength from the weak, and the effort builds a soaking sweat that will soon turn to ice in the descent. The fans all know this, and when the racers reach the Alps, they wait at the summit and hand the racers newspapers to protect them from the chill.
A rider can reach speeds of 60 miles an hour on hair-raising descents. This is not the time to relax. The daredevils can make up lost time on the climbers. Anticipation is the key to being a great descender. In a long race, people left behind miles ago may suddenly appear when lunchtime arrives. The heat of the race is temporarily postponed as riders take a break to relax a bit. Arch rivals may come alongside each other and offer drink or just shoot the breeze in what is an unlikely social gathering. But it only lasts as long as your lunch bag is full. Then it's back to work.
But some days, like here on day 13, all this chasing up and down the Alps for Hinault, Le Monde, and the rest would have little change on the standings. But the reminders of danger of alpine freefall are everywhere. Day 14. Time for the Badger to once again enjoy his the time trial. Greg LeMond gave everything he had. But the Badger, although he didn't win the trial, was able to put another 1 minute 23 seconds on LeMond, taking him further back into second place after 14 days. LeMond 5:23 back and in trouble. In a news conference, Hinault says he will ride next year to help Greg win. He's virtually announced his own victory. Coming up, the crash. Yesterday, the Tour de France left the Alps, and out front, who else? Bernard Hinault. Speed was the key this day, and everyone out front was involved. It was a day for all of France to sit proudly. Hinault, their proud champion, appeared on his way to winning a record 5th Tour de France. Swinging west, day 17 took the riders from Autran to Saint-Étienne. Still 500 miles from Paris in the Champs-Élysées finish. It was a day American Greg LeMond was to attack and gain valuable seconds on teammate Hinault's lead. But Hinault, the maillot jaune riding in the yellow jersey, still rode confidently and was stronger than ever, even though on his tail was Australian Phil Anderson. At the finish line, LeMond's group had already finished, and about a minute behind was Bernard Hinault in his group. And then, the possible happened. Spectators waited to see who was involved in the crash. Was it Hinault? Was it the yellow jersey? Hinault had crashed head first. Because he crashed 1 kilometer of a finish line, he counted as an official finisher. But then again, Hinault doesn't care much about rules. The impossible. Hinault still chasing this dream of holding the yellow jersey and taking it on to Paris and winning his 5th tour. At the finish line, an exhausted and beaten Bernard Hinault was led to an ambulance. He was treated for a broken nose and took 4 stitches in the side of his head. And still the questions, was Bernard Hinault all right? Well, the verdict is in these pictures. Later that day, as he met his son at the hotel, it was obvious that Hinault, at least on the surface, was as strong as ever.
Monsieur, il avait du fil là. 2 là et 2 là. C'est fini. Allez, il y a quoi?
So Hinault had survived this awesome crash, but the memories still remain as the tour continues.
Je pense que
I still have 2 arms and 2 legs. It would be difficult for the rest of them. After 16 days, then, LeMond only 3 minutes 32 seconds behind Hinault. Day 17 started on an uncertain note. Would Bernard Hinault still ride in the lead? Hinault was smiling, though, planning strategy with teammate Greg LeMond. Would the American now take over from Hinault and ride into the yellow jersey? Well, the answer would apparently not come on this day, as the team was busy gathering supplies to provide for HINAULT. They controlled the race tightly, surrounding their yellow jersey all day long. HINAULT's crash had left fewer scars than thought, and he continued ahead just as strongly as ever. Along with his boys, HINAULT was still in the lead, setting the pace for all the riders behind. And so on day 17, the yellow jersey proved that even a spectacular crash could not come out of the lead. After 17 days of 23, HINAULT with Le Mans 3 minutes 32 seconds behind. Race continues between the American and the Frenchman. For Phil Liggett and Eric HEIDEN, I'm John Tesh. Next week, we'll see you in Paris.